But here we go. Finally, our players are ready. Ruiyichi did ask for a small break, but he has returned. We are diving into game number 1 in this best of 3 series. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Lightshade ALE, we have the American Protoss. He's blue, representing his new team, Storm Gaming. It is Ruiyichi. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Lightshade ALE, we have the Brazilian Zerg, arguably the best Zerg player in Latin America right now. Shame, you gotta step it up. It is the CranKy Duckling himself. It is Erik. Get your copy passes ready in the chat. Again, Ruiyichi is no slouch, is no pushover, so this could go all the way to the ace match. I want to believe in Erik though. I want to believe that he can make it through here in a pretty interesting opener, actually going for the pool first. In the chat, is Jim going Zerg or Protoss today? That's a good question. Fun fact, last week, I believe it was in Copa Hyperion, Jim went up against the Zerg Lord and he went Protoss. This was a best of 5 finals, by the way. He went oh my god, as we have a as we have a hat trick here in the natural base. Erik just looking to delay the expansion of Ruiyichi. We will have a couple of lings on the way as well as soon as the spawning pool finishes. Ruiyichi, he does scout this. He did go for a probe scout. He does know that it is a pool first opening. He knows that lings are going to be coming across the map. But again, this isn't all in by any means. Erik, he's expanding. He's taking his natural. He is just looking to delay the natural base of Ruiyichi for as long as possible. And what I was going to say was that Jim Rising actually played Protoss to begin their best of 5. He lost 2 games in a row against the Zerg Lord, and then he switched to Zerg. And then Jim Rising brought it back with the reverse sweep and won the best of 5 in the end. It's one of those things where Jim Rising ZvZ is maybe the best in the region, but he just likes playing Protoss against Zerg. He likes having fun with his Sky Toss. Oh god, meanwhile the lings do make it across the map. The wall is not a wall. These lings, they could try and get us around, but there are only 4 lings here to begin with. The Adept does make it out in time with the Adept, and the Zealot Erik is forced all the way back. And oh my god, the Adept almost gets surrounded there. Ruiyichi has to be so careful, especially when he goes into the bush. Does shade first. Get that vision. And I'm really curious to see how Erik is going to play this out. It looks like he wants to go for a 3rd hatchery, and we'll see if Ruiyichi scouts this. So, Erik and Kuro in the chat knows about this as well. Erik was asking some of the other CranKy Ducklings about their thoughts on going for gasless openings. Going for a pool first, going for a 3rd hatchery, and delaying your gas until around the 4-minute mark. And our players, Oreo and Starduck, were saying how if you do go for this style, if the Protoss player scouts this and realizes what you're doing, if they go for an earlier Adept Oracle timing, they can abuse the fact that you have no gas. They can abuse the fact that you have slow lings and take advantage of that with a big Glaive Adept push. Meanwhile, these Glaive-less Adepts are dealing a lot of damage. 4 drones already going down. For 1 Adept, well worth it here for Ruiyichi. Again, Erik being very greedy, just delaying his gases for as long as possible. It doesn't look like Ruiyichi is going to necessarily punish that. He's going for a Void Ray opening, not an Oracle opening, and because Queens don't cost any gas, Erik should have plenty of Queens to defend. Ruiyichi definitely could have responded differently to this. He could have thrown down a Twilight Council, thrown down more gateways, and gone for a big Glaive Adept push. But because he didn't, Erik is going to get away with this, and his gases are being taken. Very slow, but you know, he's going to be able to catch up. We'll see if he even bothers getting Ling speed or if he goes straight into Roaches instead, going for a big Roach Queen push. Again, that Queen count is getting higher and higher much earlier on because of that earlier 3rd base. So we'll see how this works out here for Erik. Meanwhile, Ruiyichi actually not being aggressive whatsoever, he goes for a third of his own. He does have a Void Ray to help defend it and keep it alive. He is going for that second Void Ray as well to be a little bit more aggressive and apply pressure across the map. But again, there are plenty of queens as long as Erik gets eyes on this a little bit early. If the Void Rays are aggressive, the queen should be in position. And there we go, there is the Fan of Lings going out across the map to scout and have eyes on anything coming across towards Erik's bases. And he does scout the Void Rays. This is what I was talking about. Void Rays on the way. Erik sees it. He responds. Queens are here to defend. Ooh, doesn't have any energy for Transfuse. That's a little bit worrisome, but he has 4 queens here. Adept tries to waddle in. Does get pushed away by the Slowlings. And Ruiyichi doesn't find anything here at the third base. Spam this duck for Erik the runner-up. That's a nice copy pasta that rhymes. I don't know if I want to be advertising that he's the runner-up though. Like, I don't know about that one. I'm feeling iffy on it, just a bit. Meanwhile, the overlords micromanaging, making sure that drone is doing its work. God, the pressure on this one drone, mate. If he slips up once, he's gonna get fired. He's gonna get turned into a spore. Oh god. Meanwhile, again, these Void Rays are doing absolutely nothing. They've achieved nothing. They have like slowed the creep spread a little bit, killing a tumor here and there. But there are plenty of queens. That creep is being respread. There's no detection here either for these Void Rays to proactively deny a bunch of creep. Maybe I can get an Overlord here and there. Does get one. It's definitely something. And off the back of this, Ruiyichi, he has fully saturated on 3 bases. He is going towards that splash damage, that AoE. It is, I imagine, going to be Disruptors here. Disruptors do so well against Roach Ravager, against Queens, but not so much against Mutas. We have a Spire on the way, and I do not believe this has been scouted whatsoever by Ruiyichi. He hasn't seen anything here in the natural base, and this is terrifying because we have Void Rays, we have Disruptors, Blink is on the way, and that is something, right? That does shoot up, and that will help against the Mutas, but the problem is that Ruiyichi doesn't know about the Spire, so he doesn't know how much he has to commit to those Stalkers. So I'm feeling a little bit worried here for Ruiyichi. I also saw a Phoenix in production earlier, but it looks like that was cancelled. It may have been a mistake, so Ruiyichi didn't opt to go for any Phoenixes here. Doesn't have any preemptively for the Mutas, and there we go. 8 are on the way. They're just zooming across the map. Well, they should be, as I don't think the best decision would be for them to deal with the Void Rays. It would be showing our hand a little bit too early. There are plenty of queens to help deal with the Void Rays anyway, as the Mutas do go across the map, head towards the natural base. There's nothing here. There's no shield batteries. There's no cannons. I guess Stalkers can be warped in reactively, but the Mutas do get into that mineral line. The entire mineral line is going to go down. Ruiyichi, he warped in, but he didn't react whatsoever. At the same time, Ruiyichi is pushing in towards the 4th base of Erik right now. He is going to essentially be all in. Disruptor Shot goes off, but it misses. Doesn't connect at all with the Roach Ravager. This main army, though, is looking pretty strong, and there's not that much Roach Ravager, so Erik has to be so careful with how he engages here. But you know what? The Disruptor! It goes down! The Roaches are being dealt with, but you know what? There's a flood of Lings on the way here for Erik. It will buffer for the Roach Ravager. It is going to be enough, and Erik will force a recall. Not just force a recall, the recall misses the Immortal. The Immortal goes down. Meanwhile, there was a warping of Stalkers at home, and the Mutas were pushed away, but Erik has so much momentum going his way. He's committing to this attack, maybe overextending a little bit here. There are no more Lings to help buffer for the Roaches or the Ravagers or the Mutas either, so Erik has to be careful. We do have another flood of Lings on the way, but they're not here yet. And after all is said and done, a lot of the workers did go down. The army count was reset. I say the army count was reset The high-tech units were reset. The Disruptor went down. The Immortal went down. The War Prism went down. All the Robo units, essentially. The Mutas, they find their way into the main base of Ruiyichi, and once again, Ruiyichi, he just wasn't ready for it. His entire army was at the third base, not in the main. And it looks like Ruiyichi wasn't even able to warp in reactively there as 10, 11 more probes go down. Oh. Ryu, he does pick off a couple of mutas, but you know what? At this point, the era of muta has come and gone, mate. Mutas do not matter anymore. It's all about the lanes, all about the roaches and the ravagers. Honestly, only 3 ravagers, so I mean, this could be refined a little bit more for Erik, but Erik doesn't even need it. There's nothing here. The sentries go down. There was nothing to buffer for them. They were so exposed. Now there are only stalkers to defend. GG gets called, and Erik takes game number 1. With that gasless style, that gasless opening. Again, it's one of those things where you can abuse that gasless opening, but Ruiyichi, he didn't scout it, he didn't realize what was going on early enough, he played a lot more standard, and Erik was able to get away with a lot of greed there. All right, here we go. We're getting ready to dive into game number 2. Game number 2 will be on 2,000 atmospheres. Interesting choice here. 2,000 atmospheres, a map that we see a lot of Skytoss on. We'll see if Ruiyichi commits to that and goes for something like double Stargate Void Ray. Forgot the duck. I want to eat some. No, don't eat ducks. Don't eat the ducks. Leave them alone. Just catching up on the chat and spawning in the top right hand corner of 2,000 atmospheres. LE, someone who is not catching up on the chat, but has to catch up here in this series because he is down 0-1 in this best of 3. Can he bring it back? It is the American Protoss. He's blue, representing Psystorm Gaming. It is Ruiyichi. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of 2,000 atmospheres ALE, we have the CranKy Duckling himself, the best Zerg player in all of Latino America, the Brazilian Zerg. It is Erik. Oh, and Ruiyichi being a little bit annoying, a little bit cheeky here with his probe, does deny the hatchery of Erik. Meanwhile, Erik once again did go for a pull first opening, was kind of forced into that, and this time he is once again going across the map with this drone. I believe this is a little bit later compared to game number 1, but this looks like once again he wants to go for that hatch block. There we go. Erik, he has plenty of minerals for it. He does not have a drone here at his natural. The drone is headed into that natural base of Ruiyichi. Are we going to see the hatch? Are we going to see it denied? Oh! Ruiyichi gets there just barely in time, and he does. Oh god, he blocks it again. Erik, can he get it? He gets it. Ruiyichi, he didn't want to delay his cyber core, so he left his post with that probe. Feels bad, man. Fire that probe. Should have been there to block that hatchery. The hatchery did go up, and that distracted Ruiyichi, and Erik was also able to get up his own hatchery, his own natural even. So what does this achieve? This achieves a lot less mining time here, as the economic advantage goes deep in favor of Erik. Erik does cancel in the end. We'll see if he gets another. Not just this lost mining time on the workers, but also forces a zealot out from Ruiyichi. At the same time, this Zealots and this Adept have to be on point. They have to be a part of this wall because Lings are out for Erik, I believe? No. Oh my. Oh my. So, for those wondering, Erik did go for a pull first, but he didn't make any Lings. He only went for the pull first for those fast queens, and also because his natural was delayed, so he had to spend his resources on something. So because of this, he will have a much higher queen count early on. He'll have a lot more creep spread. We'll see if this comes into play and if he opts to go for something like a queen push. We'll see. I mean, he does have the more forward third base. It is a little bit more aggressive. It does function as a launch pad to spread that creep and waddle your queens across the map. But at the same time, it could be too early to tell. Once again, though, Erik, he is playing around with that gasless opening, delaying that gas for a very long time. And once again, Ruiyichi is going for that Stargate response. We'll see if he switches things up, though. Like, if he does go for an Oracle first instead of that Void Ray. Because again, going for this style, you just have so many queens. I don't know if the Void Ray is really the way to go. Ruiyichi does scout though. He hasn't seen the main base, so he doesn't know. He doesn't know that no gases have been taken. But I love this. This time he does go for the Oracle opening. This Oracle does different things compared to the Void Ray, right? They serve different roles, if you will. The Oracle will be able to dive into the bases, be able to scout everything just because of how fast it is, maybe get some economic damage. At the moment, Erik doesn't have any spores, but that is because he hasn't scouted. The Overlord is finally going into the main base of Ruiyichi, and he will see that Stargate. He will see the Oracle morphing in. And with that, immediately we see the spores thrown down. I'm pretty sure that spore was thrown down because of the Adept, but I would like to believe it's because he scattered. So there we go, it's the second spore. It's all good. Oracle is on the way. Interesting. Ruiyichi, after a Stargate, doesn't go for a Twilight Council, but goes for a Robo instead. Oh my god, he gets into the third base. There was no spore here at the third, so 3 drones go down. Ooh, that Oracle did take a lot of damage though, just barely escaping with his life. 7 HP. Ay, ay, ay. And does he want to go into a fast robotics bay? That's the only thing that makes sense here. Like, again, he's not going for glaives, he's not going for a fast charge or blink because of the lack of tech with the Twilight Council. He does have a fast robotics facility. He opts to go for an Immortal first. Interesting. Gonna be working on that Immortal count to begin with, and this will do well against roaches, sure. I assumed that he was going to go for a bay and maybe go for like disruptors, like fast disruptors, which do so well against queen pushes. But of course, we don't really have that coming out here from Erik, and Ruiyichi actually throws down a second Stargate. Oh my. We'll see how he does here. He does go across the map with his Oracle. Will get a bit of damage here. We do have a couple of Glaveless Adepts, but the wall is a wall. Beautiful reaction here by Erik. He was ready for the Glaive Adepts, or for the Adepts, I should say. And the Adepts do not get into the main base. He tries to shade in again, but this time there are roaches to respond. Oh my god, don't commit, don't commit! Don't do it, Bobby, no! He commits! The roaches are here. The Adepts are going to go down. How many drones can they get? They get 2 for now. They're doing a decent job focus firing, but all the Adepts will fall. Meanwhile, the Void Ray right-clicking on the gas will cost him his life here. He doesn't even get the gas. Ay, ay, ay. The Oracle does dive back in. Okay, I thought he was going to try and focus down the gas, guys. I thought he was going to try and focus it down just off of principle. But in the end, he does just tag the army. And Erik, is he going to go for Swarm Host? Okay, never mind. I was shocked, mate. No, okay, so he went for the Infestation Pit. And I'm thinking, what is this for? As he is supply blocked a little bit, he is making 7 Overlords at a time. Like, immediately my mind does go for Swarm Host. He hasn't started the Hive, so he isn't going for Vipers. So, yeah, we'll see what Erik has in store for us here. There it is, 10 Swarm Hosts on the way. It does make the most sense here. We have seen a lot of Zerg players use Swarm Hosts to great effect, especially because, again, the economy of Erik was left untouched for the longest time. The army of Ruiyichi is kind of non-existent. He has 3 Immortals, sure, but he doesn't have much else. Blink finally starts, but it feels a little bit late. He has to wait until Blink finishes before he really pushes out with any kind of, you know, any kind of large army. Instead, he's actually loads up the War Prism and goes across the map. This is so risky. But Ruiyichi is going to be relying on his micro here to keep these Immortals alive and get as much value as possible. Meanwhile, Swarmhost, they're waddling across the map. They're ready to right click and take down this third base. And we can end up in a really weird scenario here. The Immortals do get dropped into the natural base. The Queen goes down. A bunch of workers are going to go down as well. Erik does not flinch. He does not respond. The Locust Wave does get thrown down here at the third base. Oh, is it going to be enough to take down the Nexus? Overcharge is being used. Can Ruiyichi keep it alive? The overcharge does get focused down. The shield battery does fall. At the same time, the Roach Ravager is pushing in to the main base. The Nexus goes down despite the overcharge. Oh my god, the Biles! Ruiyichi, he was trapped with his own Sim City. That was a beautiful trade there for Erik, but at the same time, those two Immortals have been putting in the work. They took down the Queen, they took down 8 drones, and they're trading so well against these Roaches. Does that make up for the fact that he lost the Nexus though? Like, I was assuming that after the first Locust Wave, Ruiyichi would go for a counterattack, but he just doesn't have that much on the ground, and Blink, these upgrades still aren't done. They're about to finish up now, but the Locust Wave is coming in once again, and this time he wants the army. Oh my god, he's gonna trade so well here. So many Stalkers and Sentries. Almost the entire army gets taken out. Locusts they just have so much DPS. They're terrifying. Finally, the Locust Wave does stop. It does get cleaned up. Here come the Immortals as well. He went all the way back home with them, and there are barely any links here, so Erik will be forced away. Ruiyichi will hold on to this third base location, but he's taken so many losses, and by the time he gets across the map, these Swarm Hosts, they're going to recharge. There it is. Locust Wave is ready. The Biles! The War Prism! Oh my god, with the very last Bile, the War Prism does go down, but there's no buffer here for these Locusts. All the Roaches and the Ravagers have been taken out. That is because Erik is going for the Hydras and the Lings instead. He has given up on the Roach Ravager, and honestly, I love that decision here. The Lings, they are able to catch a couple of these Zealots. I would love it if Erik does go into Lurkers. At the moment, he doesn't have a Lurker Den. He does have a Hive. There we go. Yo, Erik, we're on the same... We're synced up, mate. It's something about them ducks. As he does throw down that Lurker Den. Hive is already done. The Lurker Den is honestly a little bit late. It would have been great to be lined up with the Hive so he can work on those upgrades, but he's still using that Hive to great effect. Vipers are on the way to help round out this army. And Ruiyichi is struggling here. These Locust Waves have just been doing so much for Erik. And here comes the next Locust Wave. We'll see. Does he want the main army, or does he want the Nexus? Oh my god, and it looks like he wants the main army. He's diving in with the Hydras as well. Beautiful force fields are able to keep the majority of the Hydras out of the fight, but the Locust Wave does get in. He does focus down one of the Immortals, not the second though, as the overcharge just barely keep the Immortals alive. And with that, Ruiyichi holds and now goes for the counterattack. These Swarm Hosts, they still need a little bit of time. And ooh, nice blinks there. Does focus down another Swarm Host. Maybe even a third here. More Biles do land, but we have a wave of Lings and a Hydras on the way. Erik just has to hold on a little bit longer for his reinforcements. Here come the Lurkers, but 2 more Swarm Hosts get taken out. Erik, please! Meanwhile, I love this from Erik as well, as he actually doesn't send out his entire Locust Wave. He sends it out, in waves. He doesn't send everything at once. He doesn't want to blow his load too early here. Meanwhile, the War Prism does get taken out. GG gets called. And Erik takes the series 2-0. Congratulations, Erik. Oh my god, Nia just responded. I was like, yo, were you drinking today? And he's like, no, I didn't drink. Oh god. Well, congratulations, Erik. Again, a very, very intense style there, going for those Swarm Hosts. Beautiful control with them as well, being very very clinical with how he was using them, you know, focusing down the Nexus or focusing down the army when he needed to. Even on the retreat, it's very easy for a Zerg player to kind of panic a little bit and send all the Locusts at once, but no, he was sending half of them out and then reserving the other half of when the Locust wave was spent and used up. So some beautiful control there by Erik. He was also transitioning. He didn't get there, but if he wanted to, he could eventually get into those lurkers, and Ruiyichi knew he was on a timer. Like, he was struggling on 3 bases, he couldn't get a 4th up, he was all in when he pushed out across the map, and he was trading relatively well, but those swarm hosts just got so much value. Oh my god. And with that, Erik will move on to the semifinals. Congratulations to the CranKy Ducklings, by the way, because you know what? Both Erik and Ryu have secured their spots there in the semifinals. Exclamation mark B in the chat if you want to have a look at that brackets. They're doing well so far. Can we get, I've been talking about it a couple of times because we've been in this scenario before over the past month. Are we going to have that all CranKy Duckling finals? Erik versus Ryu. Is that going to happen? It's gonna be rough, mate. Jim Rising and Trigger, as well as Eggs, are gonna try and stop that from happening.